Exeter-based Klarian has designed and developed DigiPipe, a data-driven optimization solution that deals with the challenges raised by aging pipeline infrastructures. The company is already working with an impressive portfolio of blue-chip clients and has successfully completed an oversubscribed fundraising round on Crowdcube. Chief Executive Rob Clegg joins me today to tell us more. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Alan. Great to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you. So, Rob, the Klarian website says DigiPipe optimizes operational efficiency, lowers OPEX, and takes you closer to your ESG goals. Can you elaborate on DigiPipe and also summarize for investors how it achieves these objectives?
Sure. So, Klarian has basically designed and built a software platform that aims to help pipeline operators run and manage their pipeline assets more efficiently. The platform basically uses AI and machine learning modules, data processing and analytics techniques, some fairly advanced physics-based modeling and other tools to give operators real insight into how their assets are performing. And effectively, it helps them ensure that the infrastructure that they have is operating as designed. And we do that through looking at a number of things at the moment, and then we'll be adding to those. The main areas of focus at the moment are pump and valve efficiency. So how are pumps running? Could they be run more efficiently? And so forth. The routing of product. So pipelines often have different routes to get things from A to B, and they can be vastly different in the way that they run and how efficient they are to be run. And then moving into some predictive maintenance modules. So this really helps operators predict when maintenance is needed. So rather than doing reactive maintenance, when something's broken, you go and fix it. You'll then have downtime, you've got emergencies, you've got crews having to go out and fix things. What we try to do is predict when that is about to happen so that there is no downtime, that it isn't an emergency. You simply send the crew out to go and fix it before it becomes a major problem. And that is quite a new way and a little bit of a holy grail for operators to get to and vastly reduced costs. So this is all about really performance and trying to run pipelines in the way that they are designed to be run. But more often than not, they don't quite run as predicted.
Of course. Well, given the amount of aging pipeline infrastructure around, this must be a huge marketplace. Could you perhaps tell us some more about the size of the marketplace and, of course, the competition you're facing?
That's a really tricky question and a very good question, and I'm not sure actually I can answer it fully. Basically, we break the market down into two main areas. We call one area, which is the existing pipeline market, brownfield, and then the new pipelines that are being built, greenfield. The Klarian product is effectively applicable to both, as ensuring infrastructure is operating as designed and at maximum efficiency is applicable to both. But in reality, we are probably more focused on the brownfield. So the existing pipelines that are out there, how are they operating? Can they operate better? Can you lengthen the lifetime of those pipelines rather than having to expensively replace them? So brownfield is our sort of real focus. As to the size of the market, it's kind of like how long is a piece of string? We operate across oil, gas, and water for now. We're also looking at hydrogen and carbon capture in the near future. But if you imagine the amount of water pipelines just in the UK alone that run from the entry point in your house all the way back through the local street into a trunk line and all the way back to say a reservoir, there are literally hundreds of thousands of miles of pipelines just in water in the UK. Add in the oil and gas pipelines in the UK, and that's an additional thousands of miles. And then add in things like oil refineries, subsea pipelines, treatment plants, and all these other things, and you increase that number further. So in the UK alone, it's a very, very large number. If you then multiply that up globally, it becomes millions of miles of pipeline. I have tried with some colleagues to try and measure that and get some data and facts on it. And the problem is that we find that the variety of numbers that come out or are out there on the web or wherever are so wide that the range of answer is so big, it's almost pointless really answering that question. I think suffice to say, it is millions of miles. We have very large opportunities already going, and we would be busy for many, many years going forwards. And so I can't answer your question accurately. I just know it's a lot.
It's a lot. Okay. Well, of course, you're already working with Further Engineering and the British Pipeline Agency, the BPA. Plus, of course, you're running trials and partnerships with other organizations. Can you elaborate on these relationships and also perhaps elaborate on the sort of contracts Klarian are winning?
Yeah, so to answer that, I'll talk about the contracts first. A typical contract for us runs across 3 phases. So no 2 pipelines are the same. So the first thing we have to do is discover what that customer has. So we run a consultancy phase at the beginning that we'd sort of dubbed discovery. And that's really to ascertain what pipeline they've got, what's it made of, what's going through it, how long it is, all the materials involved and everything else, what data they also have, and what data they might want, and so on. We then sort of design effectively the solution based on our product, which is the same product for everybody, but it needs some tweaking and some sort of bespoke work as it gets to the point of being rolled out to that particular customer. And then when that is complete, we then move into what we would describe as our business as usual, our ultimate goal, which is a license fee model where a customer is signed up for a minimum of 5 years. They pay monthly. And so this is effectively a software as a service type of model, or you could call it data as a service. And they then see and use our product and our platform on an ongoing basis. And we then run that with them. It's quite a sticky product because once they're running with it, it's fairly essential to them, all of the information, all the insight they're getting. So it's not something that they would want to turn off in a hurry. So that is effectively the sort of the way we run the contracts. In terms of who we're working with at the moment, you mentioned a couple. I'll just go into a little bit of detail on each of them, just to give a flavour for what it looks like. BPA is a key oil pipeline operator in the UK. They run one of the main trunk lines that delivers kerosene into Heathrow and Gatwick's airports, but also petrol and diesel to various storage sites around the country. It's about 1,000 kilometers, just over 1,000 kilometers of pipe. We've been working with them on their pump and route efficiency, giving them insight into the best pump combinations, how pumps are performing, giving evidence to them to prove that a pump could be replaced and paid for in ROI terms in a far shorter period than they think. We're now working with them at rolling out across their whole network and adding additional functionality to that. They're very, very happy with what we've been doing, giving them a lot of insight into things that they just didn't know before, or maybe they kind of suspected it, but they had no proof. And by working with them and looking at the data, we've managed to help them do that. Thurber is a Canadian geohazard consultancy. Geohazards are typically things like landslides, fault lines, melting permafrost, road or river crossings, anything that can affect the pipeline itself, which is normally a fairly rigid, fixed thing. And if there's movement, that can spell disaster for a pipeline. So anything that could move that or affect that physically, geohazard management is a key part of making sure that those pipelines run and are safe and don't leak and so forth. So what we've done with them is they asked us to help them build a tool that enables the operator's maintenance crews to manage and utilize the data they gather out in the field in a far more efficient and accessible way. The product is now in field trials in Canada with some major operators there, and it's due to start rolling out to customers over the coming months. I think it's also worth mentioning a really exciting opportunity we're working on in Saudi Arabia with a major water company. We are working with them to assess their pump efficiency and deliver predictive maintenance solutions to desalination plants and pump stations across the country. This, for us, is a really significant opportunity for the company, for our company, as is a real door opener to Saudi and then the rest of the Middle East, which is a really significant and considerable market for us. So I'm really excited about that and the potential that brings to transform the business in terms of both scale and revenue. So a range of things, very international potential, oil, gas, water, really trying to help companies just run and manage their assets more efficiently.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Rob. On to funding now. And firstly, congratulations on the oversubscribed Crowdcube fundraise, and also, of course, for securing a cornerstone investor, which is a key element of that process. Firstly, a couple of questions for you, Rob. Firstly, can investors still participate in the fundraise? And secondly, how will the funds that you raise be deployed?
Yes, absolutely. So we, in terms of the fundraise itself, we've hit our minimum target of £350,000 or so, but we have a maximum of £1 million, and we would be delighted to try and reach that number if we can. So if you are interested, please Google Crowdcube and Klarian, and then when you get into the Crowdcube site, quote the interview that you're listening to when filling out the registration form, and that will then take you through that process. So it's definitely still open. Please go and have a look. We'd be delighted to have anyone on board as an investor. Alongside this, we've been talking to a lot of funds and industry engineering venture companies. So we have a number of other opportunities over the next year or two to kind of add to those investment funds. Quite interested in having industry-specific specialists come in as well to help us fund the business and grow the business. And recently, actually, probably as a result of the Crowdcube campaign, we've had some interest and approaches from some of the oil majors and their venture arms over the past few days. So I think there's some quite exciting opportunities there as well, which is quite going to be quite interesting for us, I think, over the next 6 to 12 months. In terms of what are the funds going to be used for, ultimately it's growth. So I think we're looking to try and push our presence in the Middle East and North America, where we've got these really, really interesting opportunities, and then further build and strengthen our development teams to deliver product and value to the customers. And it's really about scaling and growth of the business.
Superb, Rob. So before we wrap up, looking forward, we've already touched on some of these, and of course the recurring revenue streams from the contracts that you're winning. Can you sort of give us some ideas, or give investors some ideas of the sort of value inflection points they should be looking forward during the rest of this year and of course into 2025?
Yeah, sure. I think there's sort of probably 4 or 5 key targets that we're aiming at. One is rollout in the Middle East to the back end of 2024 and into early 25. Likewise in Canada, roll it out there in late 24 and into 25 with the products that we've got. We would like to be operating with some UK water companies in late 24 with a view to rolling out to several of them in 2025, and then globally with the product that we're talking to some of the UK companies about. And then financially, 2 specific things. I think we're going to be really trying to drive hard towards break even in Q1 2025, and a total revenue target for 2025 of 3 to 5 million. So that would be an increase from $500,000 this year to 3 to 5 million next year. So quite a significant increase, but it's very durable within the predictions and forecasts that we have, and with the customer list that's basically building now.
Excellent. Well, Rob, it's been great hearing about the progress that Klarian have made already. We wish you every success in the continued execution of your growth plan. Rob Clegg, Chief Executive of Klarian, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Anna.